you people in this room. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And that's 2 years of probably back-to-back, anywhere from 6 to 8% competitive conversions. Yeah, I'm beginning to wonder, frankly, how some of our competitors are even staying in business because, it's coming from someplace. You've done an excellent job on price. It isn't easy. I think the other side of it all is if we get price, it makes it easy for us. And frankly, kind of going back to my law school days, but in one of the definitions of a company that has monopoly control over the marketplace is its ability to control price in the marketplace. It's a measure of market power. And I think this tells us, none of our businesses do we have more than probably 25 to 28% market share. Just the power of the brand and the technology and you people out in the field and what you bring to the marketplace. The fact that we can move price in these kind of economic times the way we have, frankly, is pretty amazing. So that's another round of applause. So just to show a raise of hands, how many think 2012 is going to be as easy or easier than 2011? Well, we got 2, 3. How many think it's going to be harder? Probably 8, 9. I tend to agree with the latter only from the standpoint, I'm kind of looking at this thing from maybe a 5-year spread. 2009, we all know was kind of a landmark year, but also I think was a year where the marketplace has made significant changes, and we're not going back to pre-2009. It isn't going to happen again. I think if you look at what happened with the mortgage situation, it wasn't just mortgages, it was mortgages and the credit card borrowing. We kind of maxed things out. And it was payback time. We all seen what's happened now. I mean, people are saving more, people are paying off their credit cards, we're a consumer-driven economy, and that's slowing down. So we went through that blitz. Now what's going on right now? Well, good old government, they were doing the same thing we were doing. They were borrowing, and spending like there's no tomorrow. Our government, European governments, I mean, that's exactly what's going on with Greece and Italy and Spain and those countries, that they borrow so much, they're having problems paying back their debt. And I know what we're going to see. In Europe and the United States, we're going to see I'll call it a contraction of government in a couple of ways. They're not going to spend as much money because they get their fiscal, duties in order. We're pulling out of 2 wars. Don't think that the military hasn't been keeping this economy going for the last 7 to 8 years. So that's gone away. We got all the Europe things slowing down. They're going to have to pay off their debt. We're probably going to have, at least the growth of government's going to slow down, but probably at the end the size of government's going to shrink. And we're already starting to see, layoffs of public employees. And if you don't know, the largest consumer in the United States is the federal government. So they play a big role in the economy. So I'm kind of looking at this thing. We're going into a situation where we're probably looking at 2%, maybe 2.5% for economic growth. And maybe we can get 3.5% in price. And we've got this 9.2% forecast. I really believe, with some effort we can do 10. I'll talk about that a little bit. But we're going to have to go, once again, rely on competitive conversions to hit our targets. And you saw the campaigns. ASD continues to leverage our new technology to make her and roll out new products, and we got a lot of excitement going there. And I'd have to say this is probably the best quality of campaigns I've seen come out of IETV in my last 5 years. And certainly, just to point one out, I've never seen a stronger, offering come out of Converter in the last 5 years. So they're starting to get their act together and move things. But I think at the end of the day, it's a new world out there. We saw, Mr. Flynn's presentation this morning. I mean, that's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how fast those tablets are changing the world out there, and at the pace of what it's happening. Andy, you going to show that video?
Yeah.
He's going to show you a video of the pace of change, so I'm not going to steal any of that, but believe me, it's happening, and it's happening fast. And I believe this, we've got to change too. You know, but frankly, we've got to change more than incrementally change. I don't think it's going to cut it with competition. Global competition is not going to slack off at all. In fact, it's going to get more intense. And really, what is global competition? It boils down to speed of communication, sharing prices, deliveries, and all that stuff. I mean, information is just getting faster and easier to get your hands on. You know, the guy who ever invented the thermal fax machine where you could send these things globally, that was the beginning and the end of, you know, having these pockets of secured markets where you could have, you know, 80% higher pricing here, and people halfway around the world were paying 80% less, and they didn't even know. You know, those days are gone. You know, so I think we've got to move to some level of some aspirational motivation. You know, and under Barry's leadership, and Cliff and I, we've been using this term, and we're going to develop things out behind this, but we want the IMC to be the gold standard of sales excellence within and without 3M. We want you to be the best practice in the company. We want people who look to us for examples, want to replicate what we do, and we want people within the company lined up to come in and work for the IMC. You know, one of the dreams I have, and I know, you know, this would probably be impossible to happen, but wouldn't it be great if someone like, you know, Business Week or Fortune Magazine came to 3M and said, geez, you know, we've heard so much about IMTV and this general industrial business you have, and, you know, we're hearing that you got the best damn sales force in the world, and we want to do an article on it. Wouldn't that be some recognition for the goal of excellence?
Yes, sir.
You know, now, we don't have all this articulated as far as what the attributes are. We've got some, and we're working on, and we'll continue to grow this up. But my challenge to you is that if we're going to remain competitive in the marketplace, we can't think incrementally now. You know, and what does excellence really mean? Well, I think you don't have to look too far. You just go out and look at excellent people. You know, you look at excellent athletes. You look at excellent musicians. Whether they're business people, whether they're piano players, whether they're Jerry Rice. You know, I think probably the number one attribute of people who strive for excellence is that they're never satisfied with their performance. They know there's always room to do better. They always want to improve. They are relentlessly never satisfied with what they do. That's what we got to become. It's not about making forecasts. Frankly, it's about winning as much as you can. And you say, well, what's in it for me? Well, I look at there's two things in it for you. Number one, we got a pretty darn good comp plan right now with a really nice curve and a bonus payout. And we started that last year. If you blow up your forecast, you get a chance to make a lot of money. You know, and the reality is, and we, you know, for Steve and the people who have been around here for a long time, is that, you know, you can't keep on blowing your forecast out 6, 7 years in a row, unless you're Kramer, he's the only one.
Kramer's the only one.
Hiding in the corner over there. You know, that's done that. I mean, it comes and goes. So I'm looking at it, when you got your opportunity, you better take advantage of it. Because the next year, you may not have that opportunity. And I think the other thing is, certainly when it comes to career promotions and career professional recognition, you know, at the end of the day, the number one criteria for becoming an S5 is continuously exceeding forecast. Number one criteria. You want to be an S5 sales rep? You better be like Mr. Kramer.
Amen.
You know, and frankly, if you're not, you don't even get on the list. You know, so it's about winning. You know, that's what it's about. It's not about making forecasts, it's about winning. You know, I'm kind of going back to this excellence concept. You know, you look at all those people who strive for it, they got some tools to help them. You know, I look at it, you go out on Sunday and you watch professional football. You know, you got coaches on the sideline, you got coaches on a booth, you know, you got the, you know, the head coach is sitting there going like this the whole game, and we're going to talk about this. And as a game is going on, they're changing strategy and tactics and coaching right in the middle of the game. You know, this guy's putting this move on now, you're gonna have to change your technique to this. They're running this kind of defense, we're gonna run these kind of plays. You know, they got guys up in the booth taking pictures. A quarterback comes in, he gets on the phone, you see the guys with the book, they're going through the defenses. You know, they're coaching right there on the spot. The game's over with. What do they do on Monday or Tuesday when they come back in? They spend a whole day watching the game. Watching video. You know, and I can't go through this without talking about those cherished Green Bay Packers. And Vince Lombardi. Every Monday, after every football game, Vince Lombardi would sit down in the movie room with the team, and they would go through every position and watch every play, and he would sit there and give every player a plus or minus, and how they executed that day. You know, and he didn't want to be on the minus side of things because he made you work a little harder that week. But once again, it was about execution, and it was about striving to be better. So you kind of look at our situation here, and you know, we've got coaches. You know, Steve and Tim are your primary coaches. You know, we got Mary, Nye, Cliff, and we got the sales coaches or whatever, but really look at this. We got span of control going anywhere from a territory of 8 reps to 16 reps. How many times do you get to spend on the field with your coach? Once a month? Once every 2 months? That's not a lot of real-time coaching, is it? Where's your video? Where's your video that you can go back and look at your last 4 weeks and take a look and say, geez, you know, how'd I do? Could I have done this better? What am I working on? What happened? You don't have a video. You may have a Franklin Planner, or you may have your calendar. That's a little bit of a video, but it's not a lot of video. You know, so you really look at that. You know, if you're going to commit yourself to excellence and continuous improvement, you know, how are you going to do that? This brings me into Salesforce.com. Salesforce.com is just a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool. If you don't believe in the fundamental principles behind the tool, forget it. You know, I'll start out with the first one. If you don't believe in pipeline hopper management, I'll tell you right now, you don't belong in this room. Your hopper is this right here. Your hopper is your playbook. It's that sheet of paper the coach is looking on calling the plays. Your time and territory management comes out of your hopper. If you don't have a good hopper, how can you execute? How can you win? Now, and one thing I really have to make you understand, because I'll get into some other things, Salesforce.com is not about catching underperforming employees. I'll be up front with you. I don't need Salesforce.com to find out who's cutting and who isn't cutting. You know, I got, 200 years of sales management experience on my team. They're pretty savvy guys. You know, don't think a guy like Garland, who's got more street smarts than all of us combined in this room, can't work with you a little bit and figure out where you're coming from. You can't. It's not about that. It's about raising the performance of the whole organization to a different level. It's a tool to make you perform better. That's what it is. It's nothing to be afraid of. You know, and a lot of it has to do with how we handle this thing. But at the end of the day, if you don't have a hopper that allows you to make forecasts, how are you going to do it? These territories are your own little businesses. You know, you can call yourself the CEO of your territory. That's exactly what you are. And basically what you're doing, hopefully on Friday or sometime during the week, you're looking at the next 2 weeks or the month or looking back, and you're making decisions about finding, winning, and keeping. It's that simple. You're dividing time up into 3 buckets. Now the keeping one, really kind of not so much in your control, only from the standpoint, you go back to your business plan, you've got those priority accounts you can't afford to lose because they're too big and important to you. You gotta have a regular calendar plan to go back and